I'm your host, Letitia Bishop, and welcome to the Beauty Talk podcast. If you don't know me, I'm a pro makeup artist and beauty writer currently living here in Hong Kong. I'm so happy that you came back and listened to another episode. I really appreciate every single one of you listening. Today, we're going to be talking about my 2 favorite concealer tips that I give to everybody. These will change your concealer game, I promise you. I use them every day on myself. Concealer is just one of those things that is almost a non-negotiable when you're wearing makeup, right? Normally people will skip things like the foundation or bronzer or lip products, but concealer is like one of those desert island type products that we just have to have in our arsenal. I know I don't like to leave the house without concealer. I definitely can when I'm exercising, but any type of makeup look that I'm doing, concealer is my friend. So we're going to be answering some of the questions I asked on my Facebook group, and I'm going to be sharing with you the 2 concealer tips that I love to give everybody. So let's get stuck into it. Tip number 1. Pat, pat, don't swipe. Okay? It's a technique that I tell everybody to do. I do on myself when I'm doing my makeup every single day, and that is to tap and pat the concealer in. This is specifically talking about your under eye area. So when you do this technique, you're going to get more out of your product. It's going to help you get more coverage as well. So if you are putting your concealer on under your eyes and then you are like in a rush, you're quickly swiping it around, you're moving the concealer around and it's not going to last. It's not going to give you the coverage as good as if you just tap it in under the eyes. So I use my middle finger and the pad of my finger. I look up I look up with my eyes, and then I pat in, really like tap, 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 tap. Some people use different fingers, but I just use that finger, and that's how I tap it in. And I always use my fingers, really. I find you're not wasting all of your product in brushes and sponges. Sometimes I do use sponges, but mostly it's my fingers, and I feel like that just gives me the nicest blend. It presses it in, it helps it make it last longer. And you can also, this tip is also, works well with other areas that you're putting concealer, like if you have a pimple or a spot or a bruise or something that you want to conceal, specifically with pimples and like little red marks around your face. Don't just pop your concealer on and then like swipe it in and blend it in like that. It's not, I've watched people do their makeup like that, and then they wonder why their concealer is not working. They think they need a higher coverage concealer, but often it's the technique that you're using to apply the concealer. So if you just pop the concealer on and then press it in on top of the pimple on your cheek or on your nose or your chin or your forehead, wherever you have the pimple, and you press it in with your finger just over the same spot, it will give you more coverage, and you will be more happy with your concealer product that you've bought. So that's my my first tip for you girls, is the pat, and patting gives the coverage and swiping will sheer things out. So that's also a good thing to remember and have in your arsenal of techniques. Is if you feel like it's too much, yes, then you swipe and that shears things out. So around the edges of around under your eyes, you can be shearing those out, swiping that away. Even with your foundation, you will swipe it under your jaw and around the forehead towards the hairline to get a blend, but you don't necessarily need a lot of coverage in those areas. So that was nice and quick. Tip 1 there is patting and not swiping your concealer on to blend it away. So I hope you like that one. Concealer tip number 2. And these you use together and in conjunction with each other. So this one is letting your concealer dry down. I haven't been always doing this one. I think I learnt this one a few years ago. I cannot remember now who I actually learnt this tip from. But putting your concealer on, so this, you kind of have to think about your routine and how you're doing your makeup. I often don't wear foundation day to day. I just wear concealer where I need it and then blend it out. So what I do is, the first thing I normally do is pop the concealer on. So if it's like a little doe foot applicator like most concealers are, I pop very small amount actually. I see these people on YouTube like putting big swipes under their eyes. I'm like, gosh, that must just crease so much under your eyes. Or maybe your faces don't move like mine, but I would be creased within 5 minutes or within one laugh. So I just put a very small amount under my eyes and blend it out, have a look. If I need a bit more, I'll do another layer. Light layers is always my motto with makeup. So I put that, I digress. I put that under my eyes, dab, dab, like the product from the doe foot. Then I go into, oh, that sound was me opening and closing the concealer. For those listening, only audio, because I'm also sharing these on YouTube, so you can see my face and hands moving if you would like to. Then I go in and do something next, like my eyebrows. So I'll do both my eyebrows, and then my concealer isn't blended in. It's just like dab, like balls under my eyes. And then that's usually a sufficient enough time. This will depend like greatly on the product you're using, how long it takes for that product to set. So it might take a few days for you to work out what is the right time. Then I do my eyebrows, and then by the time I've done my eyebrows, which is 40 seconds, I don't know, I haven't exactly timed it, but I don't take a lot of time. I like a quite natural look on my eyebrows. Then once I've done my eyebrows, I come back to my concealer and the product has dried down a little bit. So it's not so creamy and liquidy and like moves all around all over under your eyes. This tip is, mostly just popping into my head right now. This tip is mostly for the liquid, like tube type, the liquid concealers. So by the time, it's now dried down a little bit. It's not completely set in that weird form on your face. You now have more tack and more I don't know, I just find it works better that way. You've just given it a bit of time to set. It's not going to move around your face as much. It's going to stay where you need it to be to give you the coverage. You don't have to spend as much time patting it in, waiting for it to set. I just find that it's a really good method, and most people are really surprised when I say that to them. Oh, that's a great idea. I've never heard of that. And it's letting it set a little bit before you fully blend it out. You could maybe pop it on and move it around a little bit, and then go and do another step. Obviously not in that area, like eyebrows or mascara or something, lips. Come back. It's a little bit more tacky. It doesn't move around. And I find that this gives you so much more coverage from the same product. So both of the tips that I've just shared are giving you coverage because of the patting style, helping it stay in one area, not moving it around. And then this also helps it stay in that area where you need the coverage under the eyes and not moving it around. And also with tip 2, it works not just for under eye concealer, also for on a pimple. So if I'm doing my makeup and I have a pimple somewhere or something I want to conceal, I put a little dab on it and then go do my eyes or something. And then I come back once that dab of product has like dried down significantly, then I will pat over the top of it. So I probably should have given you tip 2 first and then tip 1. So pop your concealer on, let it dry down, then go do something else, then come back, pat, don't swipe. So those are my 2 techniques and tips that I think everybody should know how to do to get the best results at concealing areas we would like to improve. and to get the most out of your product and not feel like you need to buy another product. So some listener questions. I asked in my Facebook group what you would like to know about concealer, letting you guys know I'm going to be filming a concealer episode. So someone asked me, should we do concealer first or foundation first? I'm going to say it's foundation first. If you're wearing foundation that day, you may not be wearing foundation that day. And if not, you skip the foundation, you go straight to concealer. But I would say foundation first because you want to put a nice sheer layer of foundation all over your face, and then you assess what you need to conceal, or if you even need concealer still. I definitely always still put some under my eyes, but then often like around my nose and my chin, I feel like the foundation did a good enough job. I don't need any more. So, less is more because the more products you put on your skin, the more like texture, and it just doesn't help with the texture of your skin. So my answer to that question, should we do concealer first or foundation, is foundation first. But there's no rule, remember, like nothing serious is going to happen if you do it the other way around. But that's just how I would recommend to do it. So another listener asked, so many makeup tutorials show super light, large triangles of concealer under the eyes. Is this really a thing? I find this much concealer ends up looking totally flaky and cakey, but maybe I'm not doing it right. This is a thing. People really do this, yes. It looks good with lighting and, get people on camera. But in real life, it's too much makeup. Exactly right. It gets cakey, it gets flaky. You've got to maintain it, constantly checking if your concealer is like wrinkled up under your eyes. It's just too much product in my opinion. I guess it really depends on the formula as well. Maybe the formula calls for that much product, but the big triangle of concealer under the eyes, it is more of it's like a highlighting technique, but I couldn't do it on myself. I just feel like it's way too much product. The more product I put under my eyes, the more it creases and moves around in this lovely humidity of Hong Kong that we have. It's intense right now out there. It's like 30 degrees all the time. Too much in my opinion. Just put a little dab under your eyes and blend it out. Blending it out is where you're placing it. This whole it's really just for the drama and the effect of the Instagram and video of making a triangle. I think it's nice to put concealer just right under your inner corner of your eye, like lower down in that area, and then a little bit on the outer corner of your eye under your lower lash line, because we often get a little bit of discoloration and darkness there. So those two areas are quite nice. Kind of try to skip the area where we get the crow's feet. That can really help make it last longer. Another listener question. So I have 4. I want to know about color. I understand that foundation is close to skin color, but concealer, what's the color tone for that? So that's a great question. If you're buying a concealer and a foundation together from the same brand, yes, you pick your foundation to match your exact skin color, and your concealer, I would say go 1 or 2 shades lighter, just to give you that brightness. Not too much lighter, and hopefully it's obvious, but though it may not be, not darker than your foundation color. You always want to add some light and brightness under the eyes. So 1 or 2 shades lighter. So if you pop it on the back of your hand, or I guess your cheek or something, you want it to be a little bit too light, in my opinion, for the under eyes, just so you get that brightness and that that effect of lightness in the middle of the face, and then on the outer corners of your face you have like more warmth and bronzer. So a little bit lighter. And you've also asked about tone. So there is different tones of concealers, just like there is foundations, but concealers, often ones with a peachy undertone, really help with the blue and the purples of the under eyes, like the dark circle types. So they can be really nice. You don't want to go too peachy, otherwise that would be like called a corrector, and then you need to add concealer over the top of that to cover the orange tone of it. So something warm, often I feel like a warm concealer, with a little bit of peach. So there's normally like neutral or peach. I like to go peach. That's just me. The last question is the best way to apply. Do I need different types and colors for different areas? Well, you could if you wanted. So the ones I've been talking about, I just use all over my face because I'm a little bit lazy. But you could have the liquid types that I'm talking about are normally great for under the eyes because they're quite hydrating and they don't dry out the under eyes that much. And then the stick form, or like the pot, like thick, creamy ones, they are like kind of better or geared towards spots on the face, because they're just a bit more of a dry consistency, and they do like set. They do, they're just dry and stay nicer for those areas of the face. And colors, if you wanted to buy different colors, you could have, if you wanted on the face, sometimes a really light one like that you would use under your eyes is not nice on the face because that might be highlighting the pimple or mark that you're trying to conceal. So I would then get one that's for your face, like pretty bang on of your skin color. Like, I wouldn't want to have one that's too much lighter in that area for the pimples and marks. But under your eyes, go like a few shades lighter. Not dramatically lighter. So that was the questions answered. I hope you like those. If I didn't answer at all, just message me on the group or Facebook, or Instagram. And I just want to share with you some concealers that I'm using at the moment. My favorite one that I have loved for ages is the Shiseido Synchro Skin concealer. I've even lost the red line on it. This one is amazing. It has a lot of technology. Shiseido do a lot of like research and development on their products, I think, and they have quality products. It's got like anti-face movement technology, and it's meant to last well. So I love that little one. Then of course the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. This is a cult classic. It has good coverage, less like stain and anti-creasing power than the Shiseido one, in my opinion, but better coverage maybe. And then another one I'm using currently at the moment, trying it out, is a completely different end of the price spectrum, is the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer Satin Finish. So I've actually been loving that, and for the price, I mean, you cannot really complain. I'm using that in light sand. Got this one from iHerb. You guys, if you're new here on the podcast, will soon discover that I am a iHerb obsessed person. It's just really easy here in Hong Kong because health food stores here are always like a little bit overpriced. So I ended up just getting my vitamins from there a lot, and then discovering that there's so many beauty and skincare products also on there. And the shipping's really fast, and just bloody love iHerb. I actually have in my content calendar to do an episode all about the products that I love in iHerb. So if you guys would love that, let me know and I'll do it soon. So the e.l.f. digressing here again. The e.l.f. one I'm pretty happy with. it's got a pretty good lasting staying power, and a little goes a long way. It's a little bit less sophisticated in its like packaging. It's a bit clunky everywhere, but it's good for the price. It's fine. And another one I've been really enjoying is all the writing has come off mostly, is from SEPHORA collection, and this is called the Bright Future. It's gone, but it's like a high illuminating. It's like the Touche d'Eclat from YSL. It's a pen, and you click it up, and it's not like amazing coverage, but it is like illuminating, almost like a highlighter. So some days when I just am wearing a lot less makeup, I will just pop this pen under my eyes, and it just gives light in that area. Not necessarily like covering all my veins and things going on under my eyes, but it just adds brightness, which I really appreciate. And yeah, that's just from SEPHORA, like SEPHORA's brand. So that's a good little one. I do love the MAC one of this, which is the Prep and Prime. It's like a pen like this in the Prep and Prime range in Radiant Rose. But I did makeup on a client again the other day, and I recommended it to her like last year, and she's like, it's like SEPHORA, MAC isn't selling it anymore. So MAC in Hong Kong are really annoying and discontinue everything I like. So that's annoying. So the SEPHORA one is a really good alternative, and they have lots of shades as well, more than the MAC, which is a nice surprise. So that was it. Concealer tips. I hope you really liked my tips there. I would love to know if you started using these 2 tips in your daily routines, and if it's made an improvement to your makeup lasting and looking nicer. So the first tip was the pat, pat, don't swipe technique. And then the second one was the wait time, like waiting for your concealer under your eyes to dry down a little bit, but not completely set, before you blend it out and do your pat, pat, don't swipe. So yeah, nice and quick. So we've come to the end of the episode. I would love it if you could leave a review on whatever platform that you're listening to this podcast, because that really helps me out, I know, and let more people discover and find my podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Oh, and podcast, hit the subscribe button. You can tell I'm new at this, right? If you have any questions for me, ask them in my private Facebook group. Just ask to join and I'll let you guys in. Just answer the questions. And or ask them on my Instagram and I'll write them down. If I can't answer the questions, I will definitely find an expert in that area to answer the questions. I'll save them for maybe one of my guests that I have on the podcast soon. And while you're listening to this, I would really love for you to screenshot your phone listening to my podcast with the graphic and stuff, and like put it in your Instagram stories or something and tag me. I would love to see that who is actually actively listening to the episodes. That would be really cool. So I will see you in the next one, and have a beautiful day or evening wherever you are. Bye everyone. See you.